This is Fluent English Journey Podcast.
From Speak English with Nora. Welcome back, English learners. I'm Nora, and today we're diving into something that could completely transform your English journey.
And I'm Ethan. We're talking about one of the holy grails of language learning, how to think in English. No more translating in your head, no more feeling stuck between languages.
You know what's fascinating? I bet most of our listeners have experienced this. You're having a conversation in English and everything's going smoothly, but then suddenly you need to express something complex and your brain freezes.
Oh, absolutely. And then you start that mental gymnastics routine, thinking in your native language, translating to English, checking if it sounds right, and by then the conversation has moved on.
Exactly. And that's the translation trap we all fall into. But here's the good news. Thinking in English is totally achievable, and today we're going to show you how.
Plus, we'll share some strategies that might surprise you. Some of these techniques are things native speakers don't even realize they do naturally.
So, Ethan, let's start with the obvious question. Why is thinking in English such a big deal? Can't people just get really good at translating quickly?
That's such an important question, because I think a lot of learners underestimate just how much mental translation slows them down. When you're translating, you're essentially running two programs in your brain at the same time.
Two programs? I love that analogy. Can you explain what you mean?
Sure. Your native language is like your default operating system, right? So when you translate, you're thinking in your native language, then running a translation program to convert it to English. That's a lot of processing power.
And all that processing takes time. That's why conversations feel so exhausting when you're constantly translating. Your brain is working overtime.
Exactly. But when you think in English, it's like switching your operating system. The thoughts are already in English, so they flow directly to your mouth without that translation step.
And it's not just about speed, is it? I think there's something deeper happening when you truly think in a language.
Oh, absolutely. Languages shape how we think. English has expressions, humor, and ways of looking at the world that don't translate perfectly.
Yes, like when I'm thinking in English, I might describe someone as being over the moon about something. But if I translate that literally to another language, it loses all its meaning and charm.
Over the moon, that's such a perfect example. That expression carries a specific feeling that you can only fully appreciate when you're thinking in English.
And that's when you know you're really becoming fluent, when these expressions feel natural, not foreign.
But let's be honest here, the translation trap is incredibly easy to fall into. Even advanced learners struggle with this.
Oh, definitely. And I think part of the problem is that translation feels safe. It's like having training wheels on a bicycle. You know you should take them off, but it's scary.
That's such a great metaphor. Translation is your safety net, but it's also what's holding you back from true fluency.
And here's something I find really interesting. Have you ever noticed that some thoughts are easier to think in English than others?
Oh, that's fascinating. Yes. For me, I find that casual, everyday thoughts come more naturally in English. But when I need to express something really emotional or complex, that's when my brain wants to switch back.
Exactly. And that makes perfect sense. We learn our deepest emotions and most complex ideas in our native language first.
So breaking free from translation isn't just about vocabulary or grammar. It's about rewiring your emotional and intellectual connections to language.
Rewiring, that's exactly the right word. And the good news is, our brains are incredibly adaptable. We can absolutely train ourselves to think in English.
Okay, so let's get practical here. What are some concrete strategies people can use to start thinking in English?
Oh, I love this part. One of my favorite techniques is what I call narrating your day. Instead of just living your life, you describe it to yourself in English as it happens.
Ooh, can you give us an example of what that sounds like?
Sure. So instead of just making coffee in the morning, you might think, I'm grinding the coffee beans. The aroma is incredible. Now I'm pouring the water slowly.
That's brilliant because you're not translating, you're just describing reality directly in English. It's like creating a constant English soundtrack to your life.
Exactly. And it starts to feel natural really quickly. Your brain begins to associate English with immediate experience, not with translation.
Here's another strategy I love, talking to yourself in English. I know it sounds a bit crazy, but hear me out.
Not crazy at all. What kind of self-talk do you mean?
Well, when you're making decisions, instead of thinking, should I wear the blue shirt or the red one, think it in English. Ask yourself questions in English. Work through problems in English.
That's so smart because you're practicing the most natural, conversational English possible, the voice in your head.
And here's what I find interesting. When you start doing this, you realize how much of your thinking is actually quite simple. We think we need advanced vocabulary for everything, but most of our daily thoughts are pretty basic.
Such a good point. You don't need to think like Shakespeare, you just need to think like yourself, but in English.
Now, here's a technique that might sound unusual, changing the language of your inner voice for specific activities.
Ooh, what do you mean by that?
Well, pick one activity you do every day, like cooking, exercising, or even scrolling through social media, and commit to thinking in English during that time.
Oh, I love this. So if you're cooking, you're thinking, I need to chop the onions finely, or this smells amazing, rather than thinking in your native language.
Exactly. And what's beautiful about this approach is that you're creating English thinking habits around activities you already do automatically.
You know what else I think helps? Consuming English content that matches your thinking style.
What do you mean by thinking style?
Well, some people are visual thinkers, others are more analytical, some are emotional. If you watch English content that matches how your brain naturally works, it's easier to start thinking in that language.
That's brilliant. So if you're a visual person, maybe watch English YouTubers who explain things with lots of imagery. If you're analytical, listen to English podcasts about science or logic.
Your brain starts to build English pathways that feel natural to your personality. It's not fighting against how you think, it's working with it.
Here's something that really helped me, learning to be okay with thinking simple thoughts in English rather than complex thoughts in my native language.
Can you elaborate on that?
Sure, there's this temptation to show off your vocabulary, even to yourself. But actually, the goal is natural thinking, not impressive thinking.
Oh, that's such an important distinction. It's better to think I'm tired naturally in English than to struggle with I'm experiencing extreme fatigue just to use bigger words.
Exactly. Fluency is about ease, not complexity.
And here's something that might surprise people. Dreaming in English can actually be a sign that you're starting to think in the language.
Oh, I've heard about this. When you dream in English, it means your subconscious is processing the language without any conscious effort.
It's like your brain is doing English practice while you sleep, though obviously you can't force yourself to dream in English. It just happens naturally as you progress.
You know what else I think is crucial? Creating an English environment in your head.
What do you mean by that?
Well, instead of just learning English words and grammar, you start building an English personality, English humor, English ways of seeing the world.
Oh, that's fascinating. So you're not just translating your existing thoughts, you're actually developing new thought patterns that are naturally English.
Exactly. You might find yourself becoming a slightly different person when you think in English, maybe more direct or more humorous or more expressive.
And that's totally normal and actually quite beautiful. Languages give us different ways to be ourselves.
Speaking of building an English mindset, here's a fun challenge for our listeners.
Ooh, what kind of challenge?
Try to go 1 full hour thinking only in English. Don't worry about making mistakes in your head, just commit to the English voice for 1 hour.
I love this challenge. And if you catch yourself thinking in your native language, don't get frustrated. Just gently switch back to English.
It's like meditation for language learners. You're training your attention to stay in English mode.
You know, as we're talking about this, I'm realizing that thinking in English isn't just about language learning. It's about expanding how we see the world.
How so?
Well, when you truly think in multiple languages, you have access to different ways of understanding life, relationships, emotions. You become a more flexible, adaptable thinker overall.
That's beautiful. You're not just learning to communicate in English, you're learning to live in English.
Live in English. I love that phrase. It's about making English a natural part of who you are, not just a skill you've learned.
Well, my friends, I hope today's conversation has given you some practical strategies to start thinking in English more naturally.
Remember, this is a gradual process. Be patient with yourself. Start with small moments of English thinking and gradually expand from there.
Whether it's narrating your day, talking to yourself, or just committing to one English thinking hour, every small step moves you closer to true fluency.
And please share your experiences in the comments below. Have you ever caught yourself thinking in English without realizing it? What situations make English thinking easier or harder for you?
We'd love to hear about your journey and support each other in developing these natural English thought patterns. Remember, when you think in English, you're not translating anymore. You're just being yourself in a beautiful new language.
So give it a try. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next podcast where we'll continue exploring the fascinating world of natural English learning.
Until then, keep thinking, keep practicing, and most importantly, keep being curious about the amazing journey of language learning.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my other videos to keep improving your English. See you next time.